In 1917, in a small English village called Cottingley, two young cousins found something magical. Their names were Elsie Wright and Francis Griffiths. They loved to play near a little stream, a place they called Cottingley Beck. One day they told their parents they had seen fairies there. The grown-ups did not believe them, so the girls decided to take a picture to prove it. Elsie's father had a camera. He let the girls borrow it. They went back to their special place by the stream. They wanted to show everyone what they saw every day. It was a secret world hidden from most people. Elsie was 16 and Francis was 9. Elsie knew how to use her father's camera. Together they set up the shot. They waited patiently for their magical friends to appear. When they developed the photo, it was amazing. The picture showed Francis looking at a group of tiny fairies dancing in front of her. They were beautiful, with delicate wings and playful poses. The girls were so excited to show the photograph to their family. This single image was just the beginning of a story that would capture the hearts of people all over the world. It was a simple, happy moment between two girls and their secret friends. Their parents were surprised. Elsie's mother believed them, but her father thought it was a trick. Still, the girls took more pictures over the next few months. Another famous photo showed Elsie sitting on the grass while a little gnome whispered in her ear. Each photograph was more enchanting than the last. They showed a world filled with gentle, magical creatures living peacefully alongside humans. The images were so clear and seemed so real. It was hard for anyone to explain how two young girls could create such pictures. The mystery of the Cottingley Beck and its tiny inhabitants began to grow. The photographs were not shared with the public right away. For a few years they were just a family curiosity. Elsie's mother took them to a meeting about spiritualism and wonder. She was interested in things beyond the everyday world. From there, the photos started to be seen by more people. Experts looked at them and could not figure out how they were made. The story of two simple country girls who could see and photograph fairies started to spread. It was a tale of innocence and magic born in a quiet garden in the English countryside, ready to enchant a nation. The story of the Cottingley fairies reached a very famous person. His name was Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Many people know him as the creator of the detective Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes was a character who always used logic and facts, but Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was very different. He was deeply interested in spiritualism and the afterlife. He had lost his son in the First World War and was searching for comfort. He wanted to believe that there was more to the world than what we could see. The photos of the fairies gave him hope. He thought they were real proof of another world. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle wrote an article about the fairies for a popular magazine in 1920. He used the girls' photographs to show that magic was real. Because he was so famous and respected, many people believed him. He presented the story with great seriousness. He argued that the girls were too honest and simple to have created such a clever trick. The world was tired and sad after the war. People had lost so much. They were looking for something to believe in, something beautiful and hopeful. The idea of fairies living in an English garden was a comforting thought. The public reaction was huge. Many people were fascinated. They wanted to see the photos for themselves. They bought the magazine and talked about the fairies. Some people were skeptical, of course. They thought it had to be a fake. But many others chose to believe. The photos were special because photography was still a new and trusted technology for many. If a camera captured an image, people felt it must be real. The idea that a machine could lie was not as common as it is today. The photographs seemed like scientific evidence of a magical world. This belief was very important at the time. The war had been a terrible experience, filled with loss and pain. The world felt dark and uncertain. The Cottingley fairies offered an escape. They represented a world that was innocent, pure, and untouched by human suffering. Believing in them was like believing in goodness and wonder again. It was a way for people to find a little bit of light in a difficult time. The fairies were not just pictures, they were a symbol of hope and the possibility of a world beyond the harsh reality people were facing every day. For many decades, the mystery of the Cottingley fairies continued. Elsie and Francis grew up, they got married and lived their lives. But the story of their childhood adventure followed them. People kept asking them if the fairies were real. For a very long time, the two women stuck to their story. They said that they had truly seen and photographed fairies in the garden. Their consistency made the story even more believable. If it was a prank, people thought, surely they would have confessed by now. This long silence only added to the magical legend they had created. But as technology improved, experts began to look at the photographs more closely. New ways of analyzing images became available. In the 1970s, researchers pointed out things that seemed suspicious. Media group, close-up of vintage photographs, people pointing at photos with magnifying glasses, stock at distribute underscore equally. The fairies looked very flat, almost like paper cutouts. Their hairstyles and dresses were also very fashionable for the time they were photographed. This suggested they were drawings, not real creatures. The evidence against the photos being real started to build. The magical images that had once seemed so convincing were now being questioned by science and careful observation. The truth was slowly starting to come out. Finally, in the early 1980s, when they were old women, Elsie and Francis decided to tell the truth. They confessed that the fairies in the photos were not real. Elsie, who was a talented artist, had copied drawings of fairies from a popular children's book. She drew them onto cardboard, cut them out, and propped them up with hat pins. That is how they were able to stand up in the grass and on the branches. The girls had simply photographed their own paper creations. It was a clever trick, a game that had grown into something much bigger than they ever expected. Interestingly, even after confessing, the cousins disagreed on one thing. Elsie said all 5 of the photographs were faked. But Francis, until the day she died, insisted that the 5th and final photograph was real. She claimed that they really had seen fairies that day, even if the other photos were staged. Perhaps she wanted to hold on to a little bit of the magic from her childhood. Their confession solved the great mystery, but it also left a small door open to wonder. The story was a hoax, but the feelings it inspired were very real. Even though we know the secret behind the Cottingley fairies, the story has not lost its charm. It remains one of the most famous and enchanting hoaxes in history. The tale of 2 girls and their magical photographs continues to capture our imagination. It reminds us of a time when the world seemed more open to mystery and wonder. The story is not just about a prank, it is about the power of belief. It shows how much people want to find magic in their everyday lives. The desire to see a world beyond our own is a powerful and timeless feeling. The Cottingley fairies have inspired countless books, films, and works of art. The 1997 film Fairy Tale: A True Story brought their adventure to a new generation. The story shows up in novels and documentaries, each one exploring the magic and the mystery from a different angle. It makes us think about the nature of truth and illusion. Why do we believe what we believe? And is there harm in believing in something beautiful, even if it turns out not to be true? The story of Elsie and Francis encourages us to ask these big questions while enjoying a tale of childhood imagination. Today, the idea of magic is still very much alive in our culture. We see it in fantasy stories like Harry Potter, where a hidden magical world exists right alongside our own. The Cottingley fairies were an early example of this kind of storytelling becoming real for a while. They remind us that imagination is a powerful tool. It allows us to create new worlds and to dream of possibilities beyond what we can see and touch. The story encourages us to look at the world with a sense of wonder, to search for the hidden beauty in a garden or a forest. The legacy of the Cottingley fairies is not about the trick they played, it is about the hope and joy they brought to people. It is a testament to the enduring power of a good story. The tale teaches us that even if fairies are not real, the dream of them is. That dream of magic, of a kinder and more beautiful world, continues to inspire us. It encourages us to keep our hearts open to wonder, to look for the sparkle of magic in our own lives, and to never stop believing in the power of imagination.